Besama Ab, Weld, Wemefes Kadus, Ahadu Amlak. Besama Ab, Weld, Wemefes Kadus, Ahadu Amlak. Besama Ab, Weld, Wemefes Kadus, Ahadu Amlak. Amen. So good morning. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this morning I'm feeling slightly rushed because I've got to get to work and I had to finish a lecture this morning that I'm delivering this afternoon. And as luck would have it, the chapter I've got to read is actually the longest chapter I will have read so far. And yeah, so that's the thing. I think the thing I'll be sacrificing this morning is my breakfast before I go to work. So let's see how we get on, and hopefully I have enough time to do the chapter justice. If not, I'll re-record this later if I don't have time today, but I'll try not to rush through it. But this is the first time since starting this process that I felt this rushed, and it's just part and parcel of the process. I can see my shirt's really creased. I'll be putting on a jumper anyway, so it's all good. All right, blessed love, and on with the reading. So Genesis chapter 24. And Abraham is old, and he has entered into the days. And Yahweh has blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham says to his servant, the eldest of his house, who is ruling over all that he has, please put your hand under my thigh, and I cause you to swear by Yahweh, God of the heavens and God of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in the midst of whom I have been dwelling. But to my land and to my family you go, and have taken a wife for my son, for Isaac. And the servant says to him, it may be the woman is not willing to come after me to this land. Do I at all cause your son to return to the land from where you came out? And Abraham says to him, take heed to yourself, lest you cause my son to return there. Yahweh, God of the heavens, who has taken me from the house of my father and from the land of my birth, and who has spoken to me, or who has sworn to me, saying, to your seed I give this land. He sends his messenger before you, and you have taken a wife for my son from there. And if the woman is not willing to come after you, then you have been acquitted from this my oath. Only you do not cause my son to return there. And the servant puts his hand under the thigh of Abraham his lord, and swears to him concerning this matter. And the servant takes 10 camels of the camels of his lord, and goes also of all the goods of his lord in his hand. And he rises and goes to Aram Naharaim, I think it is, to the city of Nahor. And he causes the camels to kneel at the outside of the city, and at the well of the water, and at the evening, and at the time of the coming out of the women who draw water. And he says, Yahweh, my Lord God Abraham, please cause to meet before me on this day, and do kindness with my Lord Abraham. Behold, I am standing by the fountain of the water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. And it has been the young person to whom I say, please incline your pitcher, and I drink. And she has said, drink, and I also drink water, and I give water for your camels. Her whom you have described for your servant, for Isaac, and by it I know that you have done kindness with my Lord. And it comes to pass, before he has finished speaking, that behold, Rebekah, who has been born to Bethuel, the son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, is coming out, and her pitcher is on her shoulder. And the young person is of very good appearance, a virgin, and the man has not known her. And she goes down from the fountain, and fills up her pitcher, and comes out. And the servant runs up to meet her, and says, please, let me swallow a little water from your pitcher. And she says, drink, my lord. And she hurries and lets down her pitcher on her hand, and gives him a drink. And she finishes giving him a drink, and says, also for your camels, I draw until they are finished drinking. And she hurries and empties her pitcher into the drinking trough. and runs again to the well to draw, and draws for all his camels. And the man, wondering at her, remains silent, to know whether Yahweh has made his way prosperous or not. And it comes to pass, when the camels have finished drinking, that a man takes a golden ring, whose weight is a becker, and 2 bracelets for her hands, whose weight is 10 beckers of gold, and says, "Whose daughters are you? Please declare to me, is the house of your father a place for us to lodge in?" And she says to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, whom she has borne to Nahor." And also she says to him, "Both straw and provender are abundant with us, also a place to lodge in." And the man bows and pays respects to Yahweh, and says, "Blessed is Yahweh, God my Lord Abraham, who has not left off his kindness and his truth with my Lord, I being in the way. And Yahweh has led me to the house of my Lord's brothers." And the young person runs and declares to the house of her mother according to her words. And Rebekah has a brother, and his name is Laban. And Laban runs to the man who is outside to the fountain. It comes to pass, and he sees a ring and the bracelet on the hands of his sister. And when he hears the words of his sister Rebekah saying, "Thus has the man spoken to me," that he comes to the man, and behold, he is standing by the camels by the fountain. And he says, "Come in, O blessed one of Yahweh. Why do you stand outside? And I have prepared a house and a place for the camels." And he brings in the man into the house, and looses the camels, and gives straw and provender for the camels, and water to wash his feet, and the feet of the men who are with him, and sets before him to eat. But he says, "I do not eat until I have spoken my word." And he says, "Speak." And he says, "I am Abraham's servant, and Yahweh has blessed my Lord exceedingly, and he is great. And he gives to him flock and herd, silver and gold, and men servants and maid servants, and camels and donkeys. And Sarah, my Lord's wife, bears a son to my Lord, after she has been aged, and he gives to him all that he has. And my Lord causes me to swear, saying, You do not take a wife to my son from the daughters of the Canaanite, in whose land am I dwelling? If not, to the house of my father I go, and to my family, and you have taken a wife for my son. And I say to my Lord, it may be the woman does not want to come after me. And he says, God, before whom I have habitually walked, send this messenger with you, and has prospered your way. And you have taken a wife for my son from my family, and from the house of my father. Then you are acquitted from my oath. When you come to my family, if they do not give one to you, then you have been acquitted from my oath. And I come to the fountain today, and I say, Yahweh of God, my Lord Abraham, now you are making prosperous my way in which I am going. Behold, I am standing by the fountain of water. Then the virgin is coming out to draw, and I have said to her, Please let me drink a little water from the pitcher. And she has said to me, Both drink, and I also draw for your camels. She is the woman who Yahweh has described for my Lord's son. Before I finish speaking to my heart, then behold, Rebekah is coming out, and the pitcher is on her shoulder, and she goes down to the fountain and draws. And I say to her, Please let me drink. And she hurries and lets down her pitcher from off her and says, Drink. I also drink and draw waters for your camels. And I drink. And she has also watered the camels. And I ask her and say, Whose daughter are you? And she says, The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nahor, whom Milcah has borne. And I put a ring on her nose and the bracelets on her hands. And I bow and pay respects before Yahweh. And I bless Yahweh, God of my Lord Abraham, who has led me in the true way to receive the daughter of my Lord's brother for his son. And now, if you are dealing kindly and truthfully with my Lord, declare to me, and if not, declare to me, and I turn to the right or to the left. And Laban answers Bethuel also, and they say, this thing has gone out from Yahweh. We are not able to speak to you, bad or good. Behold, Rebekah before you, take and go, and she is a wife to your Lord's son, as Yahweh has spoken. And it comes to pass, when the servant of Abraham has taken their words, and he bows towards the earth before Yahweh, the servant takes out the vessels of silver and vessels of gold and garments, and gives to Rebekah precious things also that he has given to the brother and mother. And they eat and drink, he and the men who are with him, and lodge all night. And they rise in the morning and say, send me to the Lord. And her brother says, her mother also, let the young person abide with us a week or 10 days, afterwards she goes. And he says to them, do not delay me, seeing Yahweh has prospered my way. Send me away, and I go to my Lord. And they say, let us call for the young person and inquire of her mouth. And they call for Rebekah to say to her, do you go with this man? And she says, I go. And they send her away, their sister Rebekah and her nurse, and Abraham's servant, and all his men, and they bless Rebekah and say to her, you are our sister, become 1,000 of myriads, and your seed possesses the gate of those hating it. And Rebekah and the young woman arise, and they ride on the camels and go after the man. And the servant takes Rebekah and says, and Isaac has come in from the entrance of the well of the living one, and behold, and he is dwelling in the land of the south. And Isaac goes out to meditate in the field, and turning of the evening, and he lifts up his eyes and looks, and behold, camels are coming. And Rebekah lifts up her eyes and sees Isaac, and comes down off the camel. And she says to the servant, who is this man who is walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my Lord. And she takes the veil and covers herself. And the servant recounts to Isaac all the things that he has done. And Isaac brings her into the tent of his mother Sarah, and he takes Rebekah, and she becomes his wife, and he loves her. And Isaac is comforted after the death of his mother Sarah. For these few words I give thanks. So yeah, interesting chapter. Like I say, that's the longest chapter I've read so far. And essentially it's a love story between Isaac and Rebekah, where Abraham's servant goes out to try to find a wife for Isaac. And God says that if the woman that you see, if she is kind, then one of the tests is that when you ask for water, she also then takes water and gives water to your camels as well. And that's how you know that it's the right person and that she's a kind person. So when the servant then sees the women coming out and he's drawn to Rebekah and he asks Rebekah for some water, she also says, yes, that's fine, and I'll also give some water to your camels. And that's how he knows that Rebekah's the person that God was talking about. So then he takes Rebekah back to the land, and she meets Isaac, and as it says there, Isaac, she loves him. She becomes his wife, and he loves her. And Isaac is comforted after the death of his mother Sarah. So it's actually a love story, and it's a very sweet love story. And it's, I guess it shows God's tenderness. It shows God's willingness for his people to be happy, to be comforted, and to be in union. And there's a semi-arrangement going on, but it's still a marriage of love. It's not a marriage of convenience or forced. It is a marriage of love. But also one of the strong themes in there is of kindness. Isaac loves his wife, and also the fact that Rebekah herself was kind and she passed that test of kindness. So it's a very gentle chapter, a very gentle story. And in the essence of it, it's about treating people good, entertaining strangers, as was talked about in a previous chapter. And just being kind to each other, which is all we can ask for, really. And that's what Jesus came to fulfill, that covenant as well, being good to your neighbour. So I love that chapter, the gentleness of it and the security of it after, what's been quite an epic journey up to that point and the death of their mother Sarah. So I'll end it there. Have a blessed day. Yet a Berek for cure, blessed love, and God willing, I'll see you again tomorrow. Goodbye. Bless.